As she entered, a hush fell over the room. Her classmates stared at her with a mixture of disgust and pity. Tomi's heart began to race. What was going on? Tomi was a star student of Prestige Heights College, an all-girls secondary school known for its high standards. At 16 years old, she stood out not only for her striking beauty, but also for her intelligence. Tomi had always been at the top of her class, working hard to maintain her position as the most brilliant student. Every day, she woke up early, put on her neat school uniform, and headed to school with determination in her eyes. Her long black hair was always neatly tied in two top buns, and her face glowed with natural beauty that required no makeup. As she walked through the school gates, heads would turn and whispers would follow. "There goes Tomi," the other girls would say. Always perfect, always the best. But Tomi paid no attention to these comments. Her focus was solely on her studies. In class, she sat at the front, eagerly absorbing every word the teacher said. Her hand was always the first to shoot up when a question was asked, and her answers were always correct. However, Tomi's beauty was becoming a distraction. Even the teachers found themselves staring at her during lessons. Mr. Ajayi, the mathematics teacher, often stumbled over his words when explaining problems to her. Mr. Okafor, the literature teacher, couldn't help but admire her graceful handwriting and thoughtful essays. Despite the attention, Tomi remained oblivious. After school, while other students rushed home or to their clubs, she would stay back in the classroom. She would pull out her books, spread them on her desk, and dive into her studies. One evening, as the sun was setting and casting long shadows across the empty classroom, Tomi was deeply engrossed in her literature textbook. She didn't notice when someone entered. "Tomi, you are still here?" a voice called out. Tomi looked up to see Amara, one of her classmates, standing at the door. "Oh, hi Amara," Tomi said with a smile. "Yes, just finishing up some extra reading." Amara walked over to her desk, scanning the pile of books. She shook her head and let out a small laugh. "If I were as beautiful as you, I wouldn't stress myself studying all the time," Amara said. "You could easily get favors from the teachers who admire you." Tomi frowned in confusion. "What do you mean?" Amara grinned mischievously. "Haven't you noticed how the teachers look at you? Especially Mr. Ajayi and Mr. Okafor. You could probably get good grades without all this extra work." Tomi was shocked. She had never thought about using her looks to her advantage. "But that wouldn't be right," she protested. Amara shrugged. "It's just a thought. Anyway, I'm heading home. Don't stay too late." As Amara left, Tomi sat there, her mind swirling with this new idea. She had always believed in hard work and honesty, but was Amara right? Could life be easier if she used her beauty to her advantage? That night, she couldn't shake off Amara's words. When she reached home, her parents greeted her warmly. They were proud of their daughter's achievements and had always encouraged her studies. But Tomi was distracted during dinner, lost in thought. In her room, instead of opening her books as usual, she stood in front of her mirror. She studied her reflection, her clear skin, bright eyes, and gentle features. Had she been blind to the power she held? As she lay in bed that night, Tomi made a decision. Tomorrow, she would try something different. The next morning, Tomi woke up earlier than usual. She stood before her mirror, hesitating before reaching for her makeup kit, a birthday gift she had never used. With trembling hands, she applied a light layer of foundation, a touch of blush, and a swipe of lip gloss. She let her hair down, allowing it to fall in soft waves around her shoulders. As Tomi walked into the school compound, she felt the difference immediately. More heads turned than usual, and the whispers were louder. Even some of the teachers did a double take as she passed by. In Mr. Ajayi's maths class, Tomi decided to put Amara's theory to the test. When the teacher handed out a surprise quiz, Tomi felt a moment of panic. She hadn't studied, but then she remembered Amara's words. As Mr. Ajayi collected the papers, Tomi looked up and smiled sweetly. "Mr. Ajayi," she said softly, "I hope I did well on the quiz. I really want to maintain my grades in your class." Mr. Ajayi seemed flustered. "I'm sure you did fine, Tomi. You're my best student after all." The next day when he returned the graded quizzes, Tomi was surprised to see a perfect score. She knew she hadn't answered all the questions correctly. Could Amara have been right? Encouraged, Tomi tried the same approach with other teachers. A smile here, a kind word there, and suddenly she found herself getting good grades even when she hadn't prepared. At first, it felt like relief. She could finally rest instead of studying all night. But as days passed, she found herself relying more and more on her looks. She studied less, confident that her charm would be enough to maintain her top position. For a while, it worked. But Tomi didn't notice the growing resentment among her classmates. Girls who once admired her now whispered behind her back. They saw how the teachers favored her. Amara watched all this with a mix of satisfaction and jealousy. She had planted the idea, but hadn't expected Tomi to succeed so easily. One afternoon, as Tomi was leaving school, she overheard two teachers talking in an empty classroom. "Have you noticed how Tomi's been acting lately?" It was Mr. Okafor's voice. "Yes, it's quite a change," replied Miss Thompson. "She's using her charms more. The students are starting to complain." "Well, can you blame them?" Mr. Ajayi chuckled. "She's a beautiful girl. But you're right, we should be careful. Maybe we can lure her to meet us privately over the weekend." Tomi's heart raced. She hurried away, guilt and fear washing over her. This wasn't what she wanted. That night, she couldn't sleep. Every smile from her teachers now seemed loaded with expectation. She had opened a door she didn't know how to close. The next day, she confronted Amara. "I think I've made a mistake," she said. "The teachers, they're expecting more than just smiles." Amara smirked. "Then give them what they want." "What? No, I can't do that." Tomi grasped. "Suit yourself," Amara said coldly. Tomi walked away, unaware of the bitterness brewing in Amara's heart. The next morning, Tomi decided to set things right. She tied her hair back in her usual 2 ponytails and went to school with no makeup. But the moment she stepped into the compound, she knew something was wrong. Students were gathered in small groups, whispering and pointing at her. When she entered her classroom, the room went silent. Everyone stared. It was Amara who finally spoke, her voice dripping with venom. "Well, well, if it isn't our little teacher's pet, or should I say, the teacher's toy." Tomi felt like she had been slapped. "What are you talking about?" "Oh, come on," Amara said. "Everyone knows what you've been doing to get those grades, sleeping with the teachers." "That's not true." Tomi cried, but no one believed her. Moments later, Mrs. Oladipo, the school principal, appeared at the door. Her face was stern. "Tomi, come with me, now." In the office, Mrs. Oladipo said coldly, "I've heard disturbing rumors about your behavior with male teachers. Whether true or not, the damage has been done. Parents are threatening to withdraw their children. You've become a liability." Tomi's eyes widened. What does that mean? It means, Mrs. Oladipo sighed, you are expelled from Prestige Heights College. The words hit like a hammer. Expelled? Her dreams gone in an instant. As she walked out of the office, she saw Amara in the hallway, a triumphant smirk on her face. Days later, Tomi's parents were devastated. Though they didn't believe the rumors, they were disappointed. "We raised you better," her father said quietly. Her mother added, "We'll find you another school. This won't be the end." Eventually, they enrolled her in Ebute High School, a public school far different from the prestigious Prestige Heights. As Tomi stood at the gates on her first day, she felt like a different person. Humbled, broken, but determined. She took a deep breath and whispered to herself, "This is my second chance. I'll prove I'm more than just a pretty face." Little did Tomi know, her journey at Ebute High would bring its own challenges and revelations. This was just the beginning of Tomi's story.